Hey there, tonight we're rolling deep into the heart of Highway 41, the black ribbon of asphalt stretching out under a sky so dark it feels like the stars themselves have blinked out. You grip the steering wheel of your rig as the engine hums steady beneath you, the cool night air slipping in through the cracked window, carrying the faint scent of pine and diesel fumes. Somewhere up ahead, the dull orange glow of a distant rest stop flickers, but otherwise the highway is a lonely ribbon stretching out into a void of silence and shadow. You settle into the rhythm, headlights carving a narrow path through the night. But tonight, something feels different, like the road itself is holding its breath. You probably won't sleep well after this one. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. I want to know who's pulling a late haul with me tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's drift into tonight's dark tale together. You're rolling onto Highway 41 just past midnight, the kind of hour when the world feels stripped down to its bare bones. The cab of your truck smells faintly of old leather and coffee, a comforting mix that's almost like a security blanket against the creeping sense of isolation. Your rig's dashboard glows softly, instruments ticking away methodically, the fuel gauge, the speedometer, the GPS blinking with pinpoint precision. You've run this route a dozen times before, hauling refrigerated goods from the northern warehouses down to the distribution centers further south. It's a familiar path, one that should feel routine. But tonight, something in the air sets your nerves on edge. There's a subtle change as you pass the last exit ramp, an almost imperceptible chill that creeps down your spine, making the hairs on your arms stand up. The radio's dead silent for a moment, static crackling and then clearing, as if the usual chatter of CB channels has been swallowed by the night. You flick the switch, scanning through channels out of habit, but all you catch are faint echoes and distant hums. A lone owl hoots somewhere in the nearby trees, but otherwise nothing. The highway is empty, or so you think. You remember the stories from the older drivers, tales passed down like folklore around late-night truck stops and diner booths. Stories about the Phantom Convoy, a mysterious procession of ghost trucks that haunt Highway 41. They say it's a curse born from a devastating pileup decades ago, where dozens of rigs met a fiery end during a sudden winter storm. Ever since, the convoy appears on foggy nights, a silent chain of trucks that seem to come from nowhere and vanish without a trace. Some say they're lost souls, others think it's a trick of the mind, a shared hallucination brought on by fatigue and loneliness. But tonight, you're starting to wonder if there's something more to it. The wind picks up as you pass under an overpass, rattling the cab's metal frame. Your headlights sweep over the cracked pavement and faded lane markings. A distant set of lights appears on the horizon, headlights. You squint, trying to make out shapes in the dark. The lights flicker, disappearing, then reappearing, like a Morse code of some forgotten language. You tap the brakes lightly, slowing to see if it's a convoy of trucks catching up to you or just another late-night driver. But as the lights come closer, you realize there's something wrong. The shapes don't line up right. They seem to float slightly above the road, their edges shimmering like heat waves on a hot day. But this is night, and the air is cold. The trucks don't cast reflections on the wet patches of asphalt. And when you flash your own high beams, the lights blink back in a pattern that doesn't match any normal driver's signal. You take a deep breath and reach for the CB radio, flicking it on. Breaker, breaker, 41 and midnight, anyone out there? The static crackles again, and then, just for a second, a voice, faint and distorted, cuts through. Turn back, turn back. The words vanish before you can respond. You shake your head, half laughing at yourself. Great, you mutter. Just my imagination. But the unease lingers, like a shadow at the edge of your vision. You glance in the mirrors. For a fleeting moment, you think you see a long line of rigs behind you, their headlights glowing dimly in the rear view. But when you blink, the road behind is empty. You're alone. The legend of the Phantom Convoy isn't just a story told to spook rookies. Truckers swear by it. Some have reported their GPS signals going haywire, routes looping back on themselves, as if Highway 41 is a maze with no exit. Others talk about trucks pulling alongside them, only to vanish when looked at directly. Theories abound. Some say the conv is made up of ghosts, forever bound to the highway by tragedy. Others think it's a strange atmospheric phenomenon, a trick of light and fog combined with the mind's exhaustion. Experts still debate whether the highway phantom is real or a shared hallucination fueled by isolation and stress. But tonight, as the road stretches on and the flickering lights dance in your peripheral vision, you can't shake the feeling that something unseen is out there, watching, waiting. Your rig's engine hums steadily as you press down on the accelerator. The road bends and twists, dark trees lining each side, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. Somewhere ahead, a pair of headlights flash bright, then dim to nothing. Your breath catches as the silence returns, heavier now, like a blanket smothering the sound of your own heartbeat. You tell yourself it's just the night playing tricks, but deep down, you know that on Highway 41, the night holds secrets darker than the blacktop itself. The highway stretches ahead like a vein of darkness bleeding through the night, but your eyes keep drifting back to the flickering lights you saw just moments ago. At first, they seemed like a distant conv, a familiar procession of rigs making their way south. But now, as you press deeper into the night, they dance and pulse in a way that's anything but ordinary. You catch the slightest twitch of movement out of the corner of your eye, but when you turn, nothing's there but the empty stretch of asphalt and the blur of trees. You ease off the throttle, letting the rig coast a little, trying to focus on the strange light show. The highway's rough surface hums beneath your tires, the tires kicking up a faint scent of burnt rubber and dust. The flickering lights keep appearing and disappearing just beyond your headlights, reach, like fireflies trapped in a broken rhythm. The closer you get, the more erratic their behavior. Sometimes they blink out completely, other times they flare into a harsh glow that momentarily blinds you. Your rig's cab feels colder, despite the heater running full blast. You glance at the thermometer, just below freezing out here, and a shiver runs down your spine. You reach over to the dash, brushing away a thin film of condensation from the window, but the world outside remains distorted, flickering between shadow and light. The radio crackles again, a burst of static cutting through the silence. You tune in, fingers tight on the dial. 41 and midnight, anyone out there? You call softly, but all that answers is the hiss of white noise. Then, as if from nowhere, a voice cuts through, a raspy whisper carried on the static. Keep moving. Don't look back. The message fades as quickly as it arrived. Your heart hammers in your chest. You're not alone on this road. Something is trying to warn you or warn you away. The flickering lights coalesce into vague shapes that start to form what look like truck silhouettes, long haulers with box trailers, their edges hazy and indistinct. But their movements don't match any rig you've ever driven. They float slightly above the road surface, swaying as if caught in a slow-motion dance. There's no engine growl, no tire roar, just the eerie, quiet pulse of those ghostly headlights. You reach for the CB again, trying to steady your voice. This is Hammer 17. Anyone got eyes on those lights up ahead? What's going on? The static replies with silence, save for a low, distant growl, maybe a wind gust or something else entirely. You tap the brakes, slowing down enough to get a better look. The rigs seem to multiply now, forming a long line stretching behind and ahead of you, disappearing into the thick night fog that's suddenly rolling in. The fog creeps across the pavement like a living thing, swallowing the road's edges and turning everything into a blur. Your headlights cut through the haze, but only barely. Within the fog, those trucks flicker in and out, their outlines shimmering like mirages. The air smells different now, damp and heavy, with an undertone of something metallic, like burnt brake pads mixed with rusted iron. It's a smell you don't associate with normal highways, and it stokes the gnawing feeling in your gut that you're caught in something far from routine. You remember a little-known bit of trucking folklore. Some drivers say that the Phantom Convoy only appears when certain conditions align: dense fog, a full moon, and the scent of iron on the wind. It's as if the convoy feeds off the night itself, drawing power from the atmosphere to materialize and haunt the road. The more you focus on the trucks, the more your mind plays tricks. Headlights blink like blinking eyes, taillights pulse like a heartbeat. You blink hard, trying to dispel the illusion, but it sticks, solid and unnerving. You reach over and toggle your GPS. The screen glitches, the map flickering between your route and a confusing tangle of crossed lines that don't match any known roads. The signal wavers, dropping in and out like a faulty connection. Your grip tightens on the wheel. You consider turning off onto the next exit, but the fog has thickened so much the signs are nearly invisible. You can't shake the feeling that this stretch of Highway 41 is transforming before your very eyes, shifting into something unrecognizable and dangerous. The legend goes that the Phantom Convoy isn't just a ghost story, it's a curse. Decades ago, a massive pileup took place here during a sudden winter storm. The accident claimed dozens of drivers and rigs, leaving twisted metal and burned rubber strewn across the highway. Since then, they say the dead rigs rise again, driving endlessly, searching for something or someone to join their ranks. You catch a flash of movement in the rearview mirror. More headlights appear behind you, but no radio chatter, no engine noise. It's as if an invisible armada is shadowing your every move. When you try to count the rigs, the number keeps changing. 5, then 7, then disappearing altogether. Experts still debate if these sightings are mass hallucinations, optical illusions caused by fatigue and fog, or something far stranger. Some truckers swear that the convoy appears only to drivers who are about to face danger, a warning from the past that they're about to join the endless procession. You stare out into the night, feeling the tight knot of tension coiling in your chest. The flickering lights ahead pulse again, sending a sharp beam that grazes your windshield. For a split second, you swear you see a driver's face, pale, hollow-eyed, barely human, before the light dims. You curse under your breath. "Get a grip, man," you say aloud. It's just the night, just fog and tired eyes. But deep down, you know that the highway holds secrets beyond your understanding. Tonight, those secrets are waking up, and the flickering lights are just the beginning.
Your hands tighten on the wheel as you flick the CB radio switch again, hoping for any sign of normalcy in the static-filled silence. Suddenly, a crackle cuts through the white noise, a voice, ragged and low, slicing through the night air. "Breaker, breaker, this is Long Haul 53, do you copy?" The voice trembles, as if coming from someone who's been behind the wheel too long, their nerves frayed like worn leather. You respond quickly, "Hammer 17 here. I hear you, Long Haul, what's your sitrep?" Your voice sounds hollow, swallowed up by the vast darkness outside. There's a pause, then the voice comes again, barely more than a whisper. "You don't want to be out here tonight, the Phantom Convoy S on the move. They're coming for the road and anyone who stays too long." The words send a chill down your spine, despite the cab's heater working overtime. You try to ask more, but the radio bursts into static, the voice disappearing as suddenly as it arrived. Your heart pounds, the eerie message hanging in the silence like a bad omen. The CB radio has always been the lifeline for truckers, a channel for connection and warnings. But tonight, the channel feels like a gateway to something else, something not meant for the living. You think back to the stories whispered over late-night coffee at truck stops. Some claim the Phantom Convoy communicates through the radio, using static bursts and cryptic messages to warn or curse drivers. Others dismiss it as coincidence, a trick of bad reception and tired minds. As you press on, you hear faint murmurs on other channels, snippets of ghostly chatter, and sometimes a low hum that sounds like distant engines, but no trucks are visible. The radio seems to be alive with voices from nowhere. The strange voice from Long Haul 53 isn't the only mysterious broadcast tonight. You pick up faint distress calls, calls for help that trail off into static, and eerie warnings about certain mile markers on Highway 41 where trucks vanish without a trace. You tune to frequency after frequency, but the pattern is always the same: cryptic, fragmented and unsettling. You grip the wheel tighter, feeling a cold sweat break out despite the warmth inside the cab. The voice's words echo in your mind. They're coming for anyone who stays too long. What does that mean? Is the convoy a warning or a trap? Your thoughts are interrupted by a flicker of headlights in your mirrors. You glance back and see nothing at first, but then the lights solidify into a rig moving silently behind you. You call out over the radio, "Who's that? Identify yourself." No answer, just that creeping silence again. You remember a little-known trucking legend about a phantom voice on the CB called the Whisperer. Some say it's the spirit of a driver lost decades ago, trying to protect others by warning them away from the cursed stretch. Others claim it's a trickster, leading drivers deeper into danger. You switch channels, but the Whisperer's voice seems to follow you, appearing on different frequencies, always delivering a warning and vanishing before you can reply. It's unnerving, and you wonder if you're losing your grip on reality. The night thickens as the fog grows heavier, swallowing sound and light. The radio chatter fades into an eerie silence, broken only by your own breathing and the faint thump of the engine. You glance in the rearview mirror again. This time, the rig behind you has vanished, replaced by an empty road stretching endlessly into darkness. Still, the feeling lingers that you're being watched, pursued by something unseen but palpable. The question gnaws at you. Is the Phantom Convoy real, or a spectral hallucination born of loneliness and fatigue? Truckers argue fiercely on CB forums, some swearing by first-hand encounters, others chalking it up to the night's tricks. The truth remains elusive, hidden somewhere in the interplay of legend, fear, and the endless miles of Highway 41. You take a deep breath, reminding yourself to stay focused. The road is long, the night unforgiving, and somewhere out there, the Phantom Convoy waits. You glance again into the mirrors, expecting the empty stretch of highway to be just that, empty. But tonight, the usual reassuring void behind your rig seems off. Faint outlines flicker where there should be nothing but the cold black road. A line of headlights pulses quietly in the distance, like a heartbeat in the dark. You rub your eyes, but the vision stays. It's as if the highway has suddenly birthed an echo, a shadow caravan trailing your every move. You check the mirrors more closely, trying to count the rigs. 1, 2, 3. The number shifts, sometimes vanishing completely, then reappearing farther back, impossible to reconcile. Your stomach knots. The trucks don't behave like normal vehicles. There's no engine growl or tire hiss. The rhythmic hum of your own rig feels like the only real sound in this ghostly parade. You flick on the turn signal, and one of the phantom rigs responds with flashing lights. A signal, a warning, or a beckoning. Your CB radio is dead silent, the static replaced by a heavy quiet that presses on your ears. The last time you had this experience was years ago, during a bitter cold snap, when an entire convoy of ghost trucks seemed to appear behind you on this very stretch of highway. They were perfectly still, lined up like sentinels watching your every move. That night, when you pulled off at a rest stop, you found no rigs in the parking lot, only tire tracks fading into the gravel, as if the convoy had dissolved into thin air. The Phantom Convoy is said to travel in silence, their engines dead but their lights burning with an otherworldly glow. Some drivers report that when these trucks appear, they are carrying strange cargo, rusted barrels with unknown markings, crates sealed shut with ancient symbols, or nothing visible at all. And the drivers themselves, vanished, or at least never seen. You recall an obscure story from a dusty trucking forum, where a user claimed the convoy was not just a curse, but a warning. The trucks appear to those who ignore the limits of the road, speeding through dangerous stretches or pushing their rigs beyond reason. The Phantom Convoy in this telling is a spectral enforcement squad guiding or punishing the reckless. You try to shake the chill creeping up your spine, but the phenomenon is undeniable. The rigs are there. Their taillights flicker in eerie synchronicity, blinking in a pattern that almost feels like Morse code. You try to catch their license plates through the mirrors, but they shimmer, impossible to read. The rigs don't match any registry you know of. their markings faded or replaced by strange symbols. You wonder if these are the ghosts of the past pileups, forever condemned to haunt the highway. Your GPS glitches again, this time throwing an error message. Signal lost. Recalculating. You're isolated, cut off from dispatch and the usual lifelines. The thought sinks in, tonight you're truly on your own. The fog thickens around the rigs, softening their edges, turning them into ghostly silhouettes. The smell of diesel is replaced by a cold metallic scent, something that stings the back of your throat. You flick your headlights to high beam and the convoy reacts instantly. Every rig's lights flash bright in return, blinding and disorienting you. For a moment, your vision doubles, the road fracturing into shards of light and shadow. Then just as suddenly, the convoy vanishes. You're alone once more. But the emptiness feels heavier, charged with the memory of what just passed. The Highway 41 Phantom Convoy isn't just a ghost story told to spook newcomers. It's a living legend with countless eyewitnesses, drivers who swear they've seen those spectral rigs and lived to tell the tale. Some have even reported tire tracks appearing in fresh snow where no vehicle could have passed, or radio signals that glitch in strange patterns at the same mile markers. Experts continue to debate whether these are hauntings, shared hallucinations brought on by isolation and fatigue, or something more sinister, manifestations of guilt, loss, and regret tangled into the very asphalt. You take a deep breath and keep moving forward. The phantom lights burned into your mind as the road stretches endlessly ahead. Your eyes scan the horizon, trying to decipher the shapes ahead. The rigs that shadowed you moments ago seem to vanish like a bad dream, but now new lights flicker into view, this time closer, sharper, almost tangible. You lean forward, straining to see if these are fellow truckers or something else entirely. As you draw nearer, the trucks take on a strange, unsettling clarity. Their trailers bear strange markings, unfamiliar logos that don't appear on any shipping manifests you know. One trailer is painted with peeling, rust-streaked symbols that look almost tribal, nothing like the clean corporate branding of standard haulers. Another rig's cargo container is dented and scarred, yet it gleams oddly under the moonlight, as if untouched by time or weather. You try to catch a glimpse of the drivers, but the windows are dark and reflective, hiding any sign of life within. The rigs move silently, gliding over the highway without the usual mechanical growls or tire hiss. You can't hear their engines, just the steady thrum of your own rig's heartbeat pounding in your ears. A cold wave washes over you as you realize these aren't just any trucks. They don't match the schedules or routes listed in your dispatch. Their presence feels deliberate, as if they're moving with a purpose that transcends the physical world. You remember an old tale shared by a fellow trucker years ago, a story about rigs that carry strange cargo connected to dark rituals or forgotten accidents. The Phantom Convoy, according to that tale, was a procession of lost loads and lost souls, forever condemned to roam the highway. You glance down at your CB radio, fingers hovering over the mic. You call out, "Anyone recognize those rigs? What the hell's going on out here?" The radio crackles, then nothing but static. Suddenly, your GPS screen glitches, flickering through strange coordinates that don't match any known points on Highway 41. Your dispatch attempts to reach you, their voice cutting through the static. "Hammer 17, do you copy? We're seeing irregularities on your route, suggest you pull over at the next safe spot." You reply, voice tense, "Negative, dispatch. Something's off out here. I'm seeing trucks that don't belong." The dispatcher's voice drops, urgent and low, "Watch your mirrors, and if you feel unsettled, don't stop. Keep moving." You swallow hard and keep your eyes on the road, but your thoughts circle the strange cargo and mysterious drivers. Who, or what, are they hauling? Why are these rigs operating in silence, off the radar, unaccounted for in any log or record? You recall reading a little-known piece of trucking folklore. Some convoys are said to transport cursed or haunted cargo, remnants from old crashes, or items with ties to dark history. Drivers who have glimpsed these loads speak of cold spots in their cabs, electronics failing, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The highway around you remains shrouded in thick fog, the glowing taillights of these strange rigs flickering like distant lanterns guiding you toward an unknown fate. Your rig's engine growls louder as you press harder on the accelerator, desperate to put distance between you and the mysterious convoy. But no matter how fast you drive, they seem to shadow you, their headlights reappearing in your mirrors again and again, closer each time. You can't shake the feeling that these drivers aren't just strangers, they're something else. Ghosts, guardians, or harbingers of a doom you don't yet understand. As the road bends sharply ahead, you catch a glimpse of a figure standing by the roadside, a silhouette framed by the cold light of the phantom trucks. You blink, and the figure disappears. Was it real? Or just another trick of the night? The legend of the Phantom Convoy continues to puzzle and terrify drivers. Sightings of rigs with strange cargo and unidentifiable drivers spark debates across trucking communities. Some say the convoy is a warning, others believe it's a curse, and some insist it's an elaborate hoax. But tonight, as you barrel down Highway 41, the uneasy truth feels clear. The Phantom Convoy moves not just in the physical realm but in the spaces between reality and nightmare, carrying secrets that may never be revealed. You slow down for a moment, the weight of the night settling heavier in your chest as you recall the history tied to this cursed stretch of Highway 41. The legend of the Phantom Convoy isn't just a roadside scare, it's rooted deep in a tragic event that reshaped this corridor forever. Decades ago, during a brutal winter storm, a massive pileup occurred. Dozens of trucks slammed into each other in a tangle of steel and fire. Drivers lost their lives, rigs were destroyed, and the highway was shut down for weeks. That accident left a scar not only on the asphalt but on the collective memory of every trucker who's passed through since. Survivors tell stories of seeing phantom rigs drifting silently past the wreck site, their lights glowing in the fog, engines silent but ever moving. Some say the convoy is made up of those lost drivers, condemned to eternally haunt the road where their lives ended. You can almost feel the weight of that history pressing on the night air around you. The cold bites harder now, and the fog thickens, swirling like smoke across the lanes. Your rig's headlights barely pierce the gloom, and you're keenly aware of every sound. The soft slap of tires on wet pavement, the distant call of a night bird, the eerie hum that seems to come from nowhere. The stories you've heard tell of a moment when the convoy appears, a supernatural procession moving like a shadow beneath the moonlight, impossible to escape or outrun. Some truckers claim to have been pulled into the convoy, their rigs swallowed into the spectral line as if time itself folded over them. Whether those drivers returned, or what fate awaited them, remains a haunting question. You think about the roadside memorials, faded crosses and weathered plaques marking where lives were lost. Sometimes, drivers report seeing rigs parked near those spots, idling engines, empty cabs, the faint smell of burned rubber lingering in the air. When approached, the trucks vanish, leaving only cold silence behind. The legend has seeped into trucking culture, spawning rituals and warnings passed between drivers. Some avoid the highway during certain nights, others leave tokens or say prayers as they pass the accident sites. Dispatchers sometimes issue advisories for drivers to steer clear of the most haunted mile markers, though the exact locations shift like the fog itself. Experts and paranormal investigators debate the origin and nature of the Phantom Convoy. Is it a residual haunting, the imprint of past tragedy replaying endlessly? Or could it be a warning, ghostly guardians ensuring the living respect the dangers of the road? Some theorists suggest electromagnetic anomalies create shared hallucinations among exhausted drivers, feeding into a collective mythos. But whatever the truth, the legend has hardened into a reality for those who have encountered the convoy. Drivers speak of a change in their approach to the road afterward, more caution, more respect, a recognition that some parts of Highway 41 aren't just roads, but portals to the unknown. As you grip the wheel, you feel the hum of your rig's engine beneath you, solid, real, alive. And yet outside, the fog swirls thick and restless, carrying whispers of the past and the cold glow of unseen headlights. You wonder how many truckers before you have felt the same chill, the same pull of the Phantom Convoy. How many have stared into the void and seen those ghostly rigs glide silently through the night? And how many have never returned? You ease off the accelerator as you approach a small town just off Highway 41, its sleepy streets cloaked in mist and silence. The glow from a neon diner sign flickers faintly in the distance, casting a dull red hue across the damp pavement. Local townsfolk often share their own tales of the Phantom Convoy, and tonight, as you pause for a quick bite, you're eager to hear what the residents have to say. Inside the diner, the scent of fried coffee and bacon mingles with the murmur of hushed conversations. You sit at the counter, nodding at the waitress who knows you by name. You ask about the convoy, careful not to sound like a tourist fishing for stories. The regulars exchange glances, their eyes shadowed with memories and something darker. One old man, his face weathered like cracked leather, leans in and says, "Seen 'em myself, clear as day." Trucks parked along the shoulder, engines running but no drivers inside. Sometimes they just sit there all night, lights on, waiting. Then, come dawn, they vanish, like they were never there. You ask if he's ever gotten close, seen inside one. He shakes his head. No one dares. You get too close, the air turns cold and you feel like you're being watched. Some say the trucks are cursed, trapped by whatever killed their drivers all those years ago. Another patron chimes in. My cousin swears he saw the convoy roll through town one foggy night. Long line of rigs, headlights glowing like lanterns. But when he woke up the next morning, no tire tracks, no sign they'd ever been here. You sip your coffee, the warmth doing little to ease the chill settling in your bones. The stories aren't new, but hearing them firsthand sharpens the fear lurking beneath the surface. Outside, the fog thickens, creeping through the diner's windows like a living thing. You glance at your watch, still plenty of night left on the clock. Time to get back on the road, but the weight of those tales presses down on you. The locals speak of strange phenomena around the convoy's appearances. Engines running without drivers, trucks disappearing into thin air, and an oppressive silence that falls over the highway when the phantom rigs pass. Some say you can hear whispered voices on the wind, the echoes of lost drivers trying to communicate, warning the living to stay away. You recall an obscure piece of folklore from the area. Some believe the Phantom Convoy isn't just a haunting, but a manifestation of collective guilt, a reminder that the road demands respect, and that death on Highway 41 wasn't just an accident but a warning. As you pay your tab and step back into the night, the fog wraps tighter around you. The highway beckons with its promise of miles and mystery, and somewhere out there, those ghost trucks are waiting, their silent engines humming a dirge for the lost. You climb back into your rig, the cab's warmth a fragile shield against the cold night air. As you pull onto Highway 41, the faint glow of distant headlights flickers once again. Your pulse quickens. The Phantom Convoy isn't just legend here, it's a part of the night, a shadow cast long over the asphalt. And tonight, it's watching. The moment you roll back onto Highway 41, you notice the difference. The radio goes dead. No chatter, no static, just an oppressive silence that blankets the cab like a thick fog. It's as if you've entered a no-man's land where technology falters and communication ceases. You flip through your CB channels, but the silence is stubborn, unyielding. Truckers have long whispered about these so-called radio silence zones along Highway 41, stretches where all signals die, leaving drivers cut off and isolated. They say the Phantom Convoy thrives in these voids, where the veil between the living world and the spectral blurs to near invisibility. Your headlights carve a narrow path through the darkness, the fog now clinging to the roadside like a ghostly curtain. You drive cautiously, every sense heightened as you push deeper into this communication blackout. The silence is unsettling, as if the night itself is holding its breath. You reach instinctively for the radio, but the crackle and static you expect are absent, replaced by a dead hush. It feels wrong, unnatural. The world beyond your rig seems muffled, distant. You recall stories from other truckers who have hit these zones. Radios go silent, GPS signals drop, and suddenly, phantom trucks appear from the mist. Sometimes, drivers report hearing engines revving nearby, but when they look, nothing's there. Other times, invisible forces seem to tug at their rigs, steering them off course. You grip the wheel tighter, the cab's warmth battling the creeping chill that seems to seep through the glass. The road narrows, trees closing in like sentinels guarding some unseen secret. Your breath fogs the windshield as you slow down, peering through the dense fog. Ahead, the faint glow of headlights appears, too many to count, moving silently in formation. The Phantom Convoy. The legends are coming alive right before your eyes. You flick on your high beams, but the convoy's lights don't respond like normal rigs would. Instead, they pulse in an unsettling rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, syncing with the pounding in your chest. Your radio remains dead, your calls swallowed by the void. A sudden gust howls past, rattling the cab, and for a moment you swear you hear whispers, indistinct, haunting, carried on the wind. The air tastes metallic, like old blood and rust. You remember a strange detail from an obscure trucking journal. The silence zones aren't random but aligned with certain ley lines, geological faults where electromagnetic fields disrupt technology and bend reality. Could the Phantom Convoy be tied to these mysterious forces, appearing only where the natural and supernatural intersect? The questions hang heavy, unanswered. As you drive through the silence, the trucks loom larger, closer, a spectral escort or a trap. You tap your mic one last time, voice steady but low. Hammer 17. If you can hear me, stay safe out there. Only the void answers. As you press forward, the fog thickens until the world outside your windshield seems swallowed by a heavy, soupy gray. The headlights from the rigs ahead blur into ghostly halos, their shapes distorted and wavering like will-o'-the-wisps dancing just beyond reach. The cold air inside your cab turns damp, carrying a scent that's hard to place, something earthy but tinged with a faint metallic sharpness, like iron in a stream. Visibility drops to near zero, and every shadow twists into something sinister. Your rig's engine hum feels louder now, a fragile tether to reality as the night's embrace grows tighter. The familiar highway markings fade beneath the fog's veil, and the road feels less like a route and more like a corridor to the unknown. You flick on your fog lights, their yellow beams cutting through the haze in narrow strips, but the outlines of the trucks ahead remain flickering and elusive. They move slowly, deliberately, like a parade of phantoms gliding through a mist-shrouded dream. A sudden flash from one of the rigs' headlights blinds you momentarily. You blink rapidly, heart pounding, and notice the lights are playing tricks, high beams flickering on and off in sharp bursts, disorienting and erratic. The effect is unnerving, making it difficult to focus on the road ahead or the convoy's rhythm. You wonder if it's some kind of signal, a code meant to confuse or communicate. Could the Phantom Convoy be sending messages in light patterns, warning drivers, or luring them deeper into the mist? You try to steady your breath, telling yourself it's just the fog and tired eyes playing tricks, but the sensation of being watched intensifies. Every glance in the mirrors reveals nothing but swirling gray, yet the lights ahead pulse like a heartbeat, relentless and hypnotic. The radio remains silent, your lone lifeline cut off as the fog wraps around you like a shroud. You press forward, the eerie light dance growing more frantic, the air thickening with tension. Experts debate whether the high beam flickers are part of the convoy's spectral nature or natural phenomena amplified by the fog and terrain. Some say the light tricks are manifestations of driver fatigue. Others claim they're signals from the lost souls trapped on Highway 41. You can't shake the feeling that tonight, you're part of a story older than the highway itself, a tale written in shadows, headlights, and whispers. The night air grows colder still as the flickering high beams continue their eerie dance. Your rig's headlights slice through the fog, but the Phantom Convoy's lights don't behave like any you've seen before. They flash erratically, sometimes blinding, sometimes dimming into nothing, like a Morse code from the other side. Your head spins trying to make sense of the pattern, but it's as if the convoy is speaking in a language just beyond comprehension. You grip the wheel tighter, your knuckles white beneath the worn leather gloves. The relentless blinking plays havoc with your focus, and your heart pounds a steady rhythm against the eerie strobe of those ghostly lights. You wonder if the convoy wants to confuse you, disorient you, or perhaps lure you into some hidden trap along the highway. The air is thick with tension, and you realize the truck's usual sounds. The diesel engine's deep growl, the tires rolling over pavement, are muffled, almost swallowed up by the fog and the unsettling light show. The cold metallic scent grows stronger, tinged now with something sharper like ozone. You recall a story shared at a truck stop years ago about drivers who'd been caught in the convoy's light signals, how some never quite escaped the highway afterward, trapped in loops or never seen again. Some say the convoy uses those blinking lights to manipulate perception, bending reality like a kaleidoscope until the road loses all meaning. Your radio remains stubbornly silent, and your GPS flickers with static before going dark. You're cut off from the world, isolated, vulnerable. You try to shake the dread creeping in, but the flickering high beams are relentless, their rhythm growing faster, almost frantic. You blink, and for a moment you swear you see ghostly faces in the reflections, drivers who never left, their eyes hollow and pleading. You push harder on the accelerator, desperate to outrun the light show, but the convoy keeps pace effortlessly, headlights blinking like malevolent fireflies. The road curves sharply ahead, the fog deepening into a wall of white. You grip the wheel tighter, your breath fogging the windshield as your rig barrels forward into the unknown. Experts still debate what the high beam flickers mean, signals from the beyond, electromagnetic interference, or simply the mind's last defense against isolation. Whatever it is, you know one thing for sure. The Phantom Convoy's lights aren't just a warning. They're a message, and it's written in flashes you might never understand. Your phone buzzes suddenly, an unexpected call from dispatch breaking through the silence like a lifeline thrown across a dark river. Hammer 17, we're picking up irregularities on your route. Satellite signals are glitching, and there have been reports of truckers going off-grid near mile marker 67. Proceed with caution. You nod even though they can't see you. Copy that, dispatch. I'm watching my 6. You glance in the mirrors, half expecting to see the phantom rigs trailing you again. The dispatcher's voice lowers, tense. There's been chatter about missing drivers, rigs disappearing without a trace. We advise avoiding that stretch if possible. You feel the weight of their concern settle heavy on your shoulders. This isn't just another routine run anymore. The highway is playing tricks, or worse, something else is out there. You push your rig a little faster, trying to outrun the invisible threat. But the road seems endless, folding back on itself like a twisted loop. Mile markers flash by too quickly, then too slowly, as if time itself is distorted. Your GPS glitches violently, recalculating endlessly but never settling on a clear path. You call dispatch again, voice sharp with frustration. I'm caught in a loop here, routes not making sense. Static answers. Your heart hammers in your chest. The fog thickens, muffling sounds and muting the world outside. Headlights flicker in your mirrors closer than before. The Phantom Convoy is no longer a distant legend, it's closing in. You try to shake the fear, focus on the road. But the rigs behind you seem to multiply, their silent engines droning like an ominous choir. Their taillights pulse in eerie synchronicity, like a heartbeat echoing through the night. You remember stories from truckers who say the convoy traps drivers in endless loops, forcing them to relive their last journey, caught between worlds. Some disappear forever, others return changed, haunted. You grip the wheel, determination surging through your veins. I'm not going down without a fight. The road ahead curves sharply and you slam on the brakes, trying to break the spectral chase. For a moment the rigs vanish, swallowed by the fog. You exhale slowly, but the silence is short-lived. The night waits, patient and unyielding, as the Phantom Convoy closes in once more. You reach for the dash cam mounted just above the windshield, fingers trembling slightly as you rewind the footage from the past hour. You've got to see what, if anything, the camera caught of this phantom chase, something to make sense of the chaos or at least prove to yourself you're not losing it. The screen flickers as you scan through the grainy images. At first, it's just the dark highway and your rig's headlights slicing through the fog. Then a flash of light behind you. You pause the video, zooming in, but the truck seems to vanish. No clear shape, just an eerie glow where the camera's focus shifts. You rewind again, catching multiple fleeting glimpses of rigs materializing briefly in the frame, shapes appearing then dissolving like mist. The dash cam picks up their glowing taillights, but every time you try to center the shot, the image blurs and fades. It's like the phantom rigs don't want to be recorded, slipping through the lens like shadows. You remember hearing about this anomaly from other truckers. Dash cams and surveillance footage often show inexplicable glitches or shadowy figures near the Phantom Convoy, but never clear images. Some suggest the convoy exists partially out of phase with our reality, visible only at the edges of perception and technology. Your stomach twists as you watch a sudden bright flash, headlights flaring, almost blinding the camera, then a moment of complete darkness. The footage resumes with your rig alone on the road, but your mind is racing. What did you just see? Were those rigs really there? Or just a trick of the camera's sensors? The idea that the Phantom Convoy can manipulate technology adds a new layer of unease. If the rigs can slip through reality and evade electronic capture, what else can they do? Are they watching you? Are they guiding you? Or trapping you? You reach out and tap the mic on your CB again, voice steadier than you feel. If anyone's out there, be advised, the convoy's active. Keep eyes peeled and stay safe. Static is your only answer. You shut off the dash cam and lean back, your mind racing with possibilities. This isn't just a legend anymore. It's a living, breathing presence on Highway 41. You wonder how many drivers have stared into the fog, caught a glimpse of those ghost rigs on camera, and questioned their own reality. And you wonder, if the Phantom Convoy is out there, watching, what comes next? You reach out on the CB again, hoping for some company out here in the thick night. Breaker, anyone on 41, Hammer 17 checking in. The static hisses, then a crackled voice comes through, strained and hurried. That convoy's no joke, Hammer. Seen it myself last month. Some say it's a curse, others call it a warning. But it's real. The voice fades quickly, cutting off before you can ask for more. You catch wind of other drivers' stories across the trucking forums and over the airwaves. Some swear they've seen the convoy's headlights bobbing in the fog. Others insist it's a myth made up to scare newbies. The accounts are wildly inconsistent. One driver swears the trucks are empty. Another claims they carried cargo long since destroyed in the original pileup. One fellow hauler tells of how the convoy's lights sometimes guide lost drivers safely through dangerous patches, while another warns that following them leads straight to disaster. The conflicting eyewitness reports twist the legend into a riddle, impossible to unravel. You realize the Phantom Convoy has become part of the culture here, an oral tradition passed from driver to driver, shifting and evolving like the fog on the highway itself. It's a shared experience, a communal ghost story that binds the trucking community with a mix of fear and respect. Yet, the mystery endures. Some truckers refuse to talk about it. Others embrace the story with superstition bordering on reverence. Debates rage about whether it's all a mass hallucination caused by exhaustion and loneliness, or something far more tangible. You stare into the rearview mirror, half expecting to see those spectral headlights flickering once again. But the road behind you remains empty, silent witness to a story that refuses to stay buried. You wonder if the Phantom Convoy is a collective hallucination or a real haunting, if it's an echo of tragedy or a living warning. The truth slips just beyond reach, like the fading glow of taillights in the fog. And as the miles roll beneath your tires, you know one thing for certain. Highway 41 will never be the same. You're gripping the wheel tighter now, sweat beading on your forehead as you try to outrun the eerie procession. The highway curves ahead, and no matter how fast you push your rig, the Phantom Convoy matches your speed without falter, their lights glowing cold and relentless in your mirrors. The road seems to loop endlessly, twisting back on itself, a spectral trap closing in. You tap the brakes hard, trying to break the pattern, but the rigs stay locked in formation behind you. It's as if the highway itself is bending to their will, folding the miles into a loop with no escape. Your GPS glitches again, the map warping into impossible shapes, lanes doubling back and disappearing into voids. Dispatch's voice is a distant echo, fading in and out, lost in the static that's become your constant companion. Panic creeps into your chest as the rig's blinking lights grow more urgent, flashing like warnings, or perhaps commands. You wonder if they're trying to lead you somewhere or trap you forever. You push the rig harder, heart pounding, sweat mixing with cold fear. The engines behind you fall silent, replaced by a heavy, oppressive quiet that presses in like fog. Your cab feels colder, the heater no longer warming the chill that seeps into your bones. You glimpse a figure in the corner of your eye, a silhouette standing by the roadside, pale and still. When you blink, it's gone. The road ahead twists into darkness, and the Phantom Convoy closes in, their lights blinding and cold. You realize this chase isn't about catching or outrunning. It's about surrendering to something beyond the road, beyond reality. You wonder, is this the fate of those who encounter the convoy? To be trapped in an endless loop, a ghost rig in the spectral procession. Your breath catches as the night swallows the highway, and you're left wondering if escape is even possible. As dawn creeps slowly over the horizon, the oppressive night begins to lift, but the memory of the Phantom Convoy lingers like a shadow etched into your soul. The eerie lights that haunted you through the fog have vanished, leaving behind only the soft glow of early morning and a road that seems quieter, emptier somehow. You glance in the rearview mirror one last time. No spectral rigs, no flickering taillights, just the endless stretch of Highway 41 unfolding behind you. But you know the convoy is never truly gone. It waits in the mists, in the quiet corners of the night, ready to reappear when the conditions are right. The legend of the Phantom Convoy has seeped deep into the trucking community's collective consciousness. Drivers share stories, warnings, and rituals designed to keep the spectral procession at bay. Some swear by lighting a cigarette or saying a prayer as they pass certain mile markers. Others avoid the highway on foggy nights or when the radio falls silent. The convoy's influence even shaped safety protocols. Dispatchers now caution drivers about the cursed stretches, advising vigilance and swift passage. Dash cams and GPS units are checked and double-checked, though they often falter inexplicably in those haunted zones. Yet, despite all precautions, the mystery endures. Is the Phantom Convoy a ghostly curse born of tragedy, a manifestation of guilt and loss, or a shared hallucination fueled by fatigue, isolation, and the vast loneliness of the road? Experts and truckers alike still debate, but one thing is clear. The legend has changed the way drivers see Highway 41, transforming a simple route into a place where the past and present collide, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. You start your rig back up, the engines rumble a comforting pulse in your chest. As you merge onto the highway, the sun's first rays casting long shadows, you carry the story with you, a caution, a mystery, a haunting melody whispered by the road. And somewhere deep in the fog, the Phantom Convoy waits, ready to roll again when the night calls. The legend of the Phantom Convoy on Highway 41 is more than just a ghost story told to passing truckers. It's a living narrative etched into the very asphalt of the highway itself. Drivers who traverse these haunted miles speak of unexplained lights, strange radio static, and trucks that appear and vanish like phantoms, blurring the boundary between the real and the supernatural. This tale reminds us that the road isn't just a path from point A to B. It's a place where history, memory, and mystery collide. Whether you believe in ghosts or chalk it up to fatigue and isolation, the legend endures, a testament to the powerful hold the open road has on those who travel it. For the trucking community, the Phantom Convoy is both a warning and a shared experience, one that has shaped safety protocols and fostered a culture of respect and caution. It's a story passed from driver to driver, evolving with each telling, reminding all who listen that some roads are more than they seem. So next time you find yourself rolling down Highway 41 under a thick fog or a moonless sky, keep your eyes sharp and your radio tuned. You never know when the Phantom Convoy might roll by, silent and relentless, a reminder that some legends refuse to stay in the past.